Let me ask you something. What if the right time is the most ridiculous lie you've ever been told? A clever, calming illusion your own mind creates to keep you safe, small, and stalled. That soft, persuasive whisper of tomorrow is the architect of your deepest regret, diligently designing a prison of plausible excuses. And there's a precise, predictable reason this trap works so perfectly well every single time. It's a reason you've been falling for your entire life. You think you need to find motivation before you can start. That's a single foundational mistake at the root of every abandoned goal and every broken promise you've ever made to yourself. In this video, I'm not just going to talk about this cycle. I'm going to dismantle the lie, piece by painful piece, expose the emotional trap for what it is, and I'll give you the psychological kill switch to finally escape the cycle of later and reclaim your power right now. Welcome to Waves of Change. This is my journey of retiring, relocating, and writing what peace means for me. Because you're never too late and your peace is never too far. Let's be honest with each other, truly honest about what this cycle feels like. I want to bring you into my story because I've been there. For years, I dreamed of starting a coaching program for educators, the Well-Rooted Collective. Our teachers give so much of themselves, and I wanted to create a space to help them find their footing, to avoid burnout, and to truly thrive. This idea ignited a fire inside of me. This time I thought, this is the one, I told myself with all the conviction I could find. Okay, I'll start billing out tomorrow. But then tomorrow arrived, and that sheer scale of the task, the website, the content, reaching out and connecting with people, it suddenly felt immense. The initial bright excitement was gone, replaced by a quiet, creeping feeling of dread. So I started to bargain with myself. Okay, not this morning. I'm not a morning person. I'll feel it later after work when I have more energy. But after work, I was drained, depleted. My mind, desperate for relief, craved the easy dopamine of a TV show, or better yet, a mindful, endless scroll on my phone. We tell ourselves we're just recharging. I'll be so much more creative this weekend. The weekend came, but now the pressure was a palpable presence. The Well-Rooted Collective hadn't just been waiting, it'd been growing in my mind, looming larger, feeling more complex and intimidating than it did on Monday. The guilt of my delay began to mix with the anxiety of a looming start. And that corrosive cocktail of emotions makes it even harder to begin. So I found productive ways to procrastinate. Y'all know how we do. I deep cleaned my kitchen. I fell down a rabbit hole of researching the best platforms, telling myself that this preparation was progress. But it's not. It's just a beautifully decorated cage. Before you know it, a year had slipped by, then two, and the goal, once a source of deep inspiration, had become a source of deep shame. It followed me around like a ghost, and it feasted on my own leisure time. You can't truly relax because you know you should be working on it. And you can't work on it because you feel too paralyzed by the guilt of your own delay. This is the vicious cycle. The longer you wait, the worse you feel. And the worse you feel, the longer you wait. If this sounds even remotely familiar, I need for you to lean in and hear this. You are not alone in this struggle. This is not some rare personal feeling. It is a fundamentally shared part of our human experience. Studies show that around 20% of adults are chronic procrastinators. And for college students, wow, that number soars to between 80 and 95%. This is a silent epidemic of stolen dreams and constant, quiet stress. The lie isn't that you'll do it later. The lie is that later will be any easier. It won't. It will be harder. That weight gets heavier with every single sunrise we wait. So if it feels so awful, why are we so good at it? Why do we knowingly, repeatedly choose a path that leads to stress and guilt and failure? We're told it's laziness or a simple lack of willpower. You've heard that before, haven't you? But that is just not the truth. That's a simplistic label for a deeply complex psychological and biological process. I need for you to hear me on this. Procrastination is not a time management problem. It's an emotional regulation problem. Let me say it again because it's the most important thing that you will hear today. Procrastination isn't about managing your time. It's about managing your emotions. Deep inside your head, there's a constant battle raging between two parts of your brain. On one side, you have the prefrontal cortex. This is the newer, more evolved logical part of your brain. It's the CEO. It makes the plan, and it understands future consequences, and it sets long-term goals. It's the part of you that knows that writing the chapter or going to the gym is the right and wise thing to do for the person you want to become. But on the other side, you have the limbic system. This is an ancient, powerful, and deeply primal part of your brain. It's the brain's emotional center, and it operates on one very simple principle. Avoid pain, seek pleasure right now. When you think about a task that is difficult or boring or uncertain, a task where you might fail or feel inadequate, your limbic system sounds an alarm. It perceives that task as a threat. Not a saber-toothed tiger type of threat, but a threat to your self-esteem, your comfort, your sense of immediate well-being. And in that battle between the logical prefrontal cortex saying, do this for a better future, and the emotional limbic system screaming, this feels bad, abort mission, the limbic system almost always wins because it's older, it's stronger, and hardwired for immediate survival. Procrastination is the result. It's your brain's brilliant, albeit misguided strategy to make you feel better. Putting off the task gives you an immediate, satisfying sense of relief. You've dodged that negative feeling, and that relief is a powerful, addictive reward. This is where the lie gets so insidious, y'all. It is so amazing. Your prefrontal cortex, that logical CEO, doesn't like to feel powerless, so it comes to the aid of the limbic system by creating these rational sounding excuses. Y'all know it. This is what I call fear dressed up as logic. You don't tell yourself, I'm terrified of failing at this. You tell yourself, I need to do more research to ensure it's perfect. You don't say, I'm completely overwhelmed by the idea of starting this business. You say, I'll start once the economy is more stable. These reasons sound so smart, so responsible, but they are elegant justifications for emotional evasion. We fear failure, so we put off the task where we might fail. We fear judgment, so we avoid showing our work. And the biggest, most powerful lie of all is perfectionism. We tell ourselves the conditions must be perfect. The plan must be perfect. Our mood must be perfect. But perfectionism is not a high standard, y'all. It's a high wall. It's an excuse to never begin because perfect never arrives. This avoidance provides a fleeting moment of relief, but it comes at a terrible cost, kicking off a downward spiral of shame. The temporary relief is quickly replaced by amplified guilt and anxiety, which makes the task seem even more threatening, which increases our desire to avoid it. It's a self-fueling fire of negative emotions that burn away our potential. If this is starting to resonate, if you're feeling a little spark of recognition, then let's build on that light. Do me a favor and hit that like button below. It's a small click that sends a big signal, telling the algorithm that this is valuable and helping this message find its way to others who are feeling just as stuck and just as stalled as we are. And it makes a huge difference. So how do we break free from this loop? How do we reclaim our power? How do we rise up when a part of our very being pulls us down? We don't fight it with brute force. We don't power through with willpower, because that's like trying to stop a tidal wave with our bare hands. We win by being wise. We win by understanding the system and using its rules against it. Here's the profound and simple secret that I hope will change things for you. Action ignites motivation. Motivation does not precede action. We have been living our lives backwards. We've been waiting to feel like doing something in order to do it. But the feeling of motivation is a chemical reward your brain gives you after you've started, not before. You have to prime the pump. You have to act first without motivation. You have to take one small step in the darkness and trust that the light will turn on as you move forward. Here are 3 practical, science-based steps to do just what we're talking about. Actionable step number 1. And I said action because you have to move. The grace of self-forgiveness. This might sound completely counterintuitive. You might think you need to be harder on yourself, but the opposite is true. The guilt and shame you carry about past procrastinations are the heavy emotional chains making it feel impossible to even start. Every time you think about a task, you don't just feel its difficulty, you feel the accumulated weight of all the times you failed to act before. Remarkable research shows that students who forgive themselves for procrastinating on an exam are significantly less likely to procrastinate on the next one. Self-forgiveness works because it dissolves the primary fuel of procrastination, negative emotions. It allows you to decouple your identity from past actions. You are not a procrastinator. You are a person who has procrastinated. And there's a world of grace in that distinction. By forgiving yourself, you let go of the emotional burden, which lowers the perceived threat of the task and allows you to move forward unchained from past failures. So right now, I want you to say this out loud. I forgive myself for putting this off. It was a human response to a difficult feeling. I am not a bad or lazy person. I accept that I waited, and now I'm choosing to move forward. This is not a silly affirmation. It's a strategic psychological maneuver to clear the emotional runway so that you can finally take off. Actionable step number 2, the 5-minute promise. The single barrier on any journey is the immense energy required to start. The goal of writing a book is terrifying, but the goal of writing for 5 minutes isn't. The 5-minute promise is your ultimate weapon against your brain's fear response. The rule is simple. Make a promise to yourself to work on your dreaded task for 5 minutes. Set a timer. That's the entire commitment. You're giving yourself full permission to stop after those 5 minutes are up. Why does this work so beautifully? Because a 5-minute promise to yourself is too small for your limbic system to see it as a serious threat. It slips past the anxiety and paralysis. It's so easy, so non-intimidating that your brain has no good reason to fight it. But the magic happens during those 5 minutes. Once you begin, you've triggered a powerful psychological principle called the Zeigarnik effect, which states that our brains are wired to remember and fixate on incomplete tasks. This creates a gentle internal pull to keep going. The hardest part is always starting. The 5-minute promise is a hack designed only to get you to start. Research shows that the vast majority of people who start a task for just a few minutes will choose to continue. Momentum is the most powerful force in productivity, and this promise is the spark that creates it. Don't think about finishing. Don't even think about doing a good job. Just promise yourself 5 minutes. Actionable step number 3, shatter the goal. Big goals are inspiring in theory, but paralyzing in practice. Launch a podcast is not a task, it's a dream. And dreams are too vague and vast to act upon. They trigger overwhelm, which triggers fear, which triggers procrastination. The solution is to get viciously, ruthlessly granular. You must shatter your goal into steps that are so laughably small and specific that it's impossible not to do them. Don't just break it down, pulverize it, shatter it into microscopic pieces. Your first step shouldn't be write a first chapter. It should even be outline a first chapter. It should be open up a Word document. That's it. That's the goal. Can you do that? Of course you can. The next step, write one sentence. And the next, write the second sentence. If your goal is to clean the garage, your first step isn't organize the tools. It's walk into the garage and pick the hammer up off the floor. You're making the cost of entry so low that it feels more foolish not to do it than to do it. Each tiny check mark, each ridiculously small step you complete gives your brain a hit of dopamine. It's a small reward that affirms, hey, we're making progress. This builds a positive feedback loop. Instead of associating the task with fear and dread, you start to associate it with a satisfying feeling of accomplishment. This is how you slowly, strategically rewire your brain, transforming a monster of a task into a series of simple, manageable, and even satisfying steps. Friend, the feeling of ready is a myth. The right time does not exist. Waiting is a lie your fear tells you to keep you safe and small. The life you want, the goals you dream of, the person you know you could become, they are all on the other side of this lie. They're on the side of action. And I'm not just saying that. Remember that coaching program I told you about, the Well-Rooted Collective, the one that was my own source of shame for years? By using these exact steps, I finally built it. It's done. It's ready. The proof is always in the action. The only way to break the spell of procrastination is to move. The cycle isn't broken by a grand gesture of willpower, but by the quietest, smallest act of defiance against your own resistance. It's broken by extending yourself the grace of forgiveness for yesterday. It's broken by making a 5-minute promise to yourself for today. And it's broken by making the next step so small, you can't possibly say no. So my challenge for you is this, friend. When this video ends, don't just think about it. Don't save it for later. The time for later is over. The moment is right now. Pick that one thing. You know what it is. The thing that's been whispering to you from the bottom of your to-do list for weeks. Open that document. Put on your running shoes. Pick up that guitar. Do it for 5 minutes. Take the smallest possible step you could think of. Not tomorrow, not in an hour, right now. And when you've done it, when you've taken that one small, stunning step, come back here and tell us what you did in the comments below. Let us fill this space with proof that waiting is a lie. Hey friend, do me a favor and subscribe for more ways to work with your brain and not against it, and build a life you know you're capable of. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Vanessa, and this is Waves of Change. And remember, you're never too late, and your peace is never too far. Bye.